First question, Mr. Kelly, how many DUI cases have you handled and in what time period?
Well, Richard, I've been an attorney for almost 20 years now, and during that time I've handled probably 10,000 DUI cases.
Wow.
Yeah, my practice has been consistently criminal defense. I tended to specialize in DUI law just because it was an area where I felt that the burdens are pretty high on the people that are accused. It's not like a normal criminal situation where you have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. You're actually presumed by law, based on our standards, guilty, so you prove yourself innocent.
Okay. And what's your typical DUI defendant circumstance then? Are they a first-time offender, repeat offender? Are they male or female? What's their average age or income level?
I would say that the majority of the clients I represent are normally first offenders. I do have a number of repeat clients or clients that come back with additional services because they've been arrested for a new DUI.
Okay.
The vast majority, probably 99%, are first time. They tend to be overwhelmingly male, but
okay.
There's a fairly high percentage of females. And in terms of circumstances, they really come from all walks of life.
So there's no particular, type of person. It's just this can happen to anybody.
Yeah, and the vast majority of them will tell me that they really don't have anything, and then they made a bad mistake or choice that night, and as a result of it, they were arrested for DUI.
Okay. And this may be a hard and unusual question, but what percentage of your clients have blood alcohol levels that are close to the limit versus, being extreme DUI versus having much higher BAC levels?
Well, in Nebraska, we actually have two separate standards. The .08 is the legal limit, considered anything above it that is considered to be under the influence.
Okay.
0.15 makes a person aggravated. The majority of my clients probably fall somewhere closer to the aggravated range. I would say roughly 50% may have a blood alcohol level close to 0.08, somewhere between 0.08 and 0.1 would be that 50% range. Another probably 35% would run over the 0.15 or in the aggravated range, which requires a mandatory jail sentence.
Okay.
And the other would fall somewhere between 0.15 and 0.08.
Okay, so it sounds like at least half of your clients are right at that legal limit.
Well, yeah, no, probably only about 15% are close to the legal limit.
Oh, I misheard you. 15. Okay.
Yeah, about 35% are over 0.15, and the remaining 60% are probably in between.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, I misheard you. What percentage of the cases that you've taken care of have gone to trial versus settled out of court before trial?
Well, the overwhelming majority resolve themselves prior to trial.
Okay.
The way I structure my practice, it does include taking the matter fully to trial initially. I mean, I work off a flat fee, so I tell people up front what their costs are for their attorney. There are additional fees if we want to hire experts, but probably 97% are resolved prior to trial, either through motions or just because of the facts and circumstances. We feel it's best to try to receive a plea bargain or get the matter reduced to a non-alcohol.
So what's your best tip when someone's just been pulled over and maybe they've been drinking a little bit or a lot? What should they do? What shouldn't they do?
Well, the thing I tell most people, and of course mainly after the fact, is you're not required to give the officer much information. They ask you why, excuse me, sir, how you doing tonight? What did you, where are you going or whatnot? You're not obligated to ask them a question. A lot of times an officer will say to a person, do you know why I've contacted you? No position for it or an issue by the client. So my recommendation is always most people use their registration and insurance in a set place in their glove box or over their visor so they can easily get to it and have it prepared to give the officer when they're stopped. The second thing I would recommend is what I'd recommend for somebody who's contacted by law enforcement is to have their registration, insurance, and driver's license available to give the officer when they come up. Have it ready, because that's what they're going to ask for. So you want to have it prepared. The roadsides are voluntary. In other words, if the officer asks you out of the car, what he's trying to do is he's trying to isolate you so he can determine whether or not the odor of alcohol that he may be smelling is on your person or in your vehicle. So I would recommend to everybody that if an officer asks them to step out of the car, they inquire the officer why they have to step out of the car. And, strictly speaking, can he order you out? Yes, he can. I'm sorry. The law is pretty clear that the officer, as part of his investigation, can do that.
Okay.
Now, once he isolates you, typically they bring you back to the front seat of his patrol car where, again, he's trying to determine whether or not the smell he may have smelt is on you or the car. Once he gets you into a patrol car, at that point, he may or may not want you to perform some standardized field sobriety tests, one of which is what's called a horizontal gaze inspection. He's going to have you turn face cam and try to have you follow an object with your eyes. You do not have to perform the test. I would recommend that anybody who's asked to do it kindly say thanks, but no thanks. I don't think you should do that.
Okay.
The other tests, again, you're not required to do. The roadside gymnastics or the standardized field sobriety tests are not enforceable. The only test the officer can require you to perform, or you will be arrested, is to perform what's called a portable breath test. It's got a little device, a PVT is what it's called, a portable breath test. That you're obligated to perform, or it is a misdemeanor and you will be arrested.
Okay, so none of the field sobriety you have to do, but the preliminary breath test you do.
That's correct. Yeah, the preliminary breath test, though, if you don't do the other tests, he has to have probable cause in order to have you do the PVT. And if there's no bad driving and no other indication, you may be able to get the whole because you didn't have a valid basis to even ask you for the PVT. What normally happens is most people do the field sobriety test. They provide evidence that may show that they're intoxicated based on the officer's subjective opinion. And at that point, he puts this PVT in front of them. They blow into it. It's a high result or above the legal limit. At that point, he's got enough evidence to arrest them.